The Chicago Cubs get pounded by the Cincinnati Reds, while the White Sox get swept by the Brew Crew. Tommy Pham is about that life. Wink, wink. The Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever have Saturday night at the fights. We'll explain. The NBA Finals, can we get here soon enough? Please, please, please. That and the news Chicago Sports Network will debut in October. If I promise you, we'll have a fun edition of Old School TV Monday. That's all coming up as the Monday edition of Second City Sports with myself and Lakina starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss Lakina McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and Q's going to get on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all sports social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're not unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza, we call it a Sports Talk Radio Show. You can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakina full powers to give you full ability and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in the living color right now on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC, or your Android, just head up to Google Play Store, download their Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
Everybody here was on the best here on the first Monday of June. You can't believe it's already June. Sid here on Second City Sports.
And
of
hot.
course, right. Stanley Cup Final is now set. We'll give you our predictions for the NBA Finals. TikTok, you got another 3 days for that.
Come on already.
Also, to all the bad hot takes from the WNBA and all that, I've got a lot to say about that, and I know Sid does too. Also, to the new Chicago Sports Network. I just gave you the little superlatives there. We got some details on that. Old School TV Monday and so much more. But first, Sid, we gotta talk about our the baseball teams. Yay! Cubs lose 2 out of 3 to the Reds. They lose the first game. After a little gaffe by Willie Harris. We'll get to that in a second. Then on Saturday, after a 3.5-hour delay, you finally, say Suzuki after a key drop that led to 3 runs being scored by the Reds. Now he does come back in the next half inning to have a grand slam, and of course Nancy Swanson hit the go ahead 2-run home run that got them to win that game. You thought, okay, maybe this will start they going for the Cubs. No, not so fast. They ended up losing the rubber match, so they're now 8.5 back of the NL Central, and I'm excuse me. Usually I'm optimistic when it comes to this, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing for this Cubs team right now.
I'll give you one reason you should be optimistic. Actually, a couple reasons. One, 24 out of your next 27 games, including the two games set against the White Sox tomorrow, are teams below 500. Will you win all 24 of them? No, but you should win at least 15 to 17 out of those next 24 games against teams below 500. Number two, Cal Hendricks, as we said that he was going to be moved to the bullpen, he actually has not been pitching that badly out of the bullpen. Now, how long does he remains in that bullpen? That remains to be seen. Now, on the flip side, you mentioned Seiya Suzuki. He had redemption up the wazoo last Saturday night. He becomes the fifth player. He became the fifth player in Cubs history to have a triple in the Grand Slam in the same game. Other names on that list: Sammy Sosa, Jason Hayward, and the right, aka Ryan Theriot. Remember him from the Lou Piniella teams back in 07 and 08? So
Hmm.
Seiya Suzuki joins those guys in rare company in Cubs history. Now, throughout yesterday's game, Lakina, Ben Brown, who's uh, um, uh, been a great sin for this franchise, he did not pitch that bad yesterday. I know he gave up that 3-run home run early in the game, but he settled down after that. But Lakina, it's all about the offense for the Chicago Cubs team, and people debating who should be leading off and who should bat this order, who should be bat up in the order, down in the order. These guys just got to start hitting. Don't become the hero. Don't do too much at the plate. Just take what the pitchers are giving you, and I think they'll be okay. As we said before, we'll keep saying it again. They are carried by their starting pitching, and their bullpen is still in work in progress. Although there's some signs still here and there they need to work on. But your offensive approach, if you're the Cubs, just take what the pitcher gives you, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, there were a lot of swings and misses during that series against the Reds, and I mean, the Reds have been kind of up and down, so you thought that maybe they could at least win the series, but unfortunately, it ended up not being the case. But like you said, Sid, yes, they do. I think they've lost like 6 series in a row. So you hope that maybe like you said, with the schedule they got coming up, and with the White Sox, we'll talk about them after the break, because they're not having any better of a time there as well. Now they do, like you said, Sid, they do. Of course, after that White Sox two-gamer starting tomorrow, then they've got to go at Cincy for 4 games, then they go at Tampa Bay for 3, then they host St. Louis. San Francisco's kind of been up and down, and then you've got and then you got the Mets. They've been the messy Mets, as I call them. So I would say try to at least win those series. If you can
Mm-hmm.
win 2/3 of those next 24 that you talked about, said that maybe you kind of get it back going. I know Milwaukee's going to fall back to earth a little bit. I really do believe that. I just don't think they're going to keep this up, whatever they've been doing. We'll talk about their game as the series with the White Sox after the break. But you kind of have to get the little things started. You have to get you gotta get guys like Ian Happ. You gotta get guys like Nico Horner. Say it's got to be more consistent. Now the Cubs will have Shota on the bump for one of those Sox games, so that should help them a little bit and his
Mm-hmm.
confidence after that bad last start that he had against the Brewers. So that could kind of get his confidence going. Need to be more consistency with everything else. Everything has to kind of mesh well and go into place so you can kind of get back in this division.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina here with you talking Cubs baseball. Lakina, check out these numbers. In the month of May, the Cubs were 10-18. Ever since they won this series in the beginning of last month against Milwaukee in early May, they have gone 12-22 since, including yesterday's loss to the Cincinnati Reds. As I mentioned, 24 of their next 27 games are against teams below 500. They should be able to make up some kind of ground here. A nice long winning streak would help that process a little bit, but like you said, just take each series and you'll build up there because as we said before, and not I said it first, but Milwaukee, they're a good team right now. Will the way they're playing right now hold up? I'm not sure. Even if it does, do I think they're going to run away with this division? No. Do the Cubs have the talent to be better than 2 games below 500 right now? Yes, they do. Cincinnati, even though they've been disappointing this year, they're starting to get back a little bit. Even though taking 2 out of 3 on the north side helps them a little bit, it helps them out a lot. They've been struggling coming out the gates to start the year. Pittsburgh's falling back to earth. St. Louis has been getting hot lately. So even though if Milwaukee just can play 500 ball, they'll be okay. But I still do not see Milwaukee run away with this division. I don't.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that, like I said, this stretch that got coming up, like you said, Sid. I mean, these series are all these series are winnable for the most part. Maybe the Tampa series, they're starting to kind of heat up a little bit, but they've been up and down. So we'll see how they do in that series in a couple of weeks. But it's set up for them to go on a little bit of a run, and like I said, everything just has to mesh. The pitching, look, the relief, the bullpen's actually been pretty solid. Mark Leiter Jr. has been okay lately. Like I said, Kyle Hendricks so far has been pretty good. So I think this is going to be the thing here that will get the Cubs. Like, I think this stretch will show if the Cubs are going to be contenders. If they just wet the bed like they've been doing, then you can kind of like start panicking, like, oh my God, like, okay. But this stretch coming up, I think this should definitely help. And June's usually the time when we see some of these teams, get going. We'll see who are the contenders and the pretenders. So if they want to show about the Cubs, if they want to show that they're contenders, they got to do well in this stretch coming up.
Couple of nuggets before we close out for the bottom of the hour break. One, we said this last year about the White Sox, Lakina, the last couple of years. We're in the month of June. You got time. When are they going to turn it on? When are they going to turn on? When we're going to see that one? We didn't see it in the last couple of years for the White Sox. I did say last Friday on the show, Lakina, that this series against Cincinnati, this was not a make or break series, but it's going to tell a lot where this team is, and we saw that over the weekend. I'm not going to say the Cubs have time because we're in the beginning of June. The time is now. As I mentioned a couple of times during the segment, I'll mention one last time. 24 hours, your next 27 games against teams below 500. If the time isn't now to make ground, I don't know when it is.
It's put up or shut up time for the Cubs starting tomorrow against the White Sox. Now, speaking of the White Sox, Tommy Pham, I mean, and so much more, of course. We'll actually get some good baseball as well in here, and also to the Orioles have made another move. Maybe they're kind of trying to get a leg up on that the AL East division. So, Lakita McGee, City Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More Diamond Talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the Fun Monday edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Keena again, the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we talk White Sox and the rest of MLB, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
Okay, so of course, as expected, the White Sox were no help to the Cubs as they traveled to Milwaukee for their weekend series against the Brewers. They were swept. Something happened during that last game that kind of got social media buzz. No, it wasn't John Schroeder, although we'll get to him in a little bit. But Tommy Pham had a little bit of a well, there was a play at the plate with William Contreras. And I guess he knocked into him, and it was a little kind of like a brouhaha that almost happened. There was no fighting, but there was some fighting words, and Pham said a whole lot of stuff, and he was still fired up afterwards. If you heard his presser afterwards, so the Sox lost 6-3, getting swept by the Brewers, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about Mr. Pham's behavior during that game and even afterwards yesterday.
Quoting the late great James Brown, aka the Godfather of Soul, from his 1988 hit produced by Full Force, "Don't start nothing, won't be nothing." I digress. But Lakina, on that play in the 8th inning on yesterday's loss, Christian Yelich made a terrific catch. It was a fly ball, but that fly ball was not deep enough for him to score. Like Tommy Pham said also in his post-game presser, that third base coach of the White Sox is an idiot for sending him because that fly ball was not deep enough for him to score. Number two, the reason why Tommy Pham was also upset because William Contreras flashed his glove in Tommy Pham's face when Tommy Pham was walking towards the dugout, and he got upset. And of course, as you mentioned, the rant from Pham after the game followed. It was like, there's a reason why I train in the all-season for fighting because of stuff like this. I don't start nothing, but I'm here to finish it. But it's another indictment on the White Sox and the way they've been playing this year so far. Let's go back to Friday night, Lakina. The Milwaukee Brewers had 23 hits off the White Sox, 18 of them were singles. Saturday's game, Garrett Crochet pitches great. He's been the best pitcher in his White Sox starting staff all year. The bullpen couldn't hold it. And then, of course, yesterday, Nick Maestrini was supposed to be one of the best young prospects in the White Sox organization in terms of pitching. He didn't pitch that great, but the offense was a no-show. And I'm surprised they put up 3 runs yesterday, and they blew another lead again. Now, Paul DeYoung and Gavin Sheets are your 2 best hitters on the team. Okay, but that's a problem. I can name a whole lot of guys, which I'm not going to go into, but one of those names is Andrew Vaughn. Has been a big disappointment this year. Big disappointment. I know Luis Robert is supposed to come back soon, but this is terrible. And then Pedro Grifol, your manager, is kissing Jerry Reinsdorf's ass in the media. He's trying to keep his job. It's just a big old mess. And well, as the hourglass turns, Lakina, if you see my water bottle.
Yeah. Well, the
hot mess continues.
Yeah, the minus 135 run differential. Yes, that is the worst of baseball. It's actually 59 runs worse than the Marlins as we're recording this. So bad all around for the White Sox. You thought that they had that a little bit of spark earlier about this time last month. You thought, okay, maybe the White Sox are not going to be as bad as we thought they were going to be. Then all this other stuff and all the shenanigans afterwards, it's just brutal. And now they're going to be facing the Cubs team that's going to not going to be in a very good mood themselves. tomorrow. So yeah, it might only get worse for the White Sox. So I'm sure if I'm Tommy Pham, I'm probably gonna want to get traded before the trade deadline so I can go to a contender. So yeah, I mean, just like, yeah. Let's talk about some good baseball sets for the weekend because yeah, this is getting a little bit weird now. Before we get to that though, Connor Norby. Now, if that name sounds familiar for all you baseball guys out there, well, he's just got called up by the Orioles. He's 23. He's another one of those top prospects. He has 9 home runs and 36 RBIs at AAA. He actually going to be making his debut tonight against Toronto for their series. So I guess the Blue Jays. So got him, Ali Rossman, Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins. Yeah, that's a pretty impressive lineup. We add Norby into the mix. So yeah, they're trying to get a leg up on that division.
Yeah, and also too, the Yankees are playing very well right now. And we'll get to them in just a second. But there's another example of hopefully, if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, one of those young prospects coming up, you start to hit on White Sox. Are you taking notes? Pick guys that are actually going to hit, not literally, but you know what I mean, hit on the stat sheet. But I digress. But Baltimore has one of the best young farm systems in the league, and it's not surprising that they've been improving over these last couple of years. We started to see signs of that in 2022. They barely missed the playoffs. We saw what they did last year, winning the division, winning over 100 games before bound out to the now defending champion Texas Rangers in the division series. And right now they're up. They're in second place in the AL Central. They're right on the Yankees next. And as long as they don't have any major injuries, I expect this Baltimore Orioles team to still compete in their situation. Hopefully, go deep in the playoffs, unlike a year ago.
Yeah, they won 2 out of 3 against the Rays over the weekend. So trying to keep pace. Hopefully, Norwood can give them a little bit of extra spark. Now, speaking of the Yankees, Sid, yes, they are pretty much playing very, very well. They sweep the Giants. I thought maybe the Giants were kind of starting to get it going, but then they run into a buzzsaw with the Yankees, and they're getting it from all cylinders. I mean, Juan Soto had a great series. He had a clutch solo shot that kind of got that going here because it was tied at that point. But everybody's been playing very well. I mean, Garrett Cole was like he'll have his first rehab start on Tuesday, so hopefully he'll be back soon. And they're doing this. Luis Gill's doing just fine over there, and Aaron Judge had I don't think they found that ball that he hit over near I think it Patrick's in San Diego, I think, right now. But the Yankees are just playing like they're everything's clicking for them right now.
Yeah, first to the San Francisco Giants, they suffered a big injury to their starting staff. Blake Snell, who they signed prior to the season, he's on the IL with left groin tightness. So hopefully he'll get back soon for the Giants. On the flip side, for the Yankees, Aaron Judge for the series, 3 home runs, 6 RBI, 6 hits, scoring 5 runs. That was very impressive. And Juan Soto, as I talked about with Aaron Judge being my top 3 candidates for AL MVP next to Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. Check out these numbers for Juan Soto. Over his last 15 games, 386 batting average, 8 home runs, and 19 RBIs in his last 15 games. If that's not making an impression, I don't know where it is. As Lakina flashes at her money sign, Juan Soto's checkbook is going up and up as he becomes a free agent at the end of the season.
He's trying, like I said, he's trying to get that big 9-figure moolah. So if he keeps this up, I mean, he's definitely going to get that. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be fighting and going to want to pay him. So yeah, hopefully the Yankees can keep it going. Now, going to the AL Central, the Guardians, they're starting to kind of figure things out. They did lose their last game of the series against the Nats, but they did win 2 out of 3. Now, David Fry, I know some of you guys probably have not heard that name, but he has been great in just his last 14 games. He has 6 home runs. He has about 18 RBIs. He's drawn 12 walks. We have 4 stolen bases and a 1.400 OPS. And he joins guys like Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds. That's a pretty impressive list to join. But yeah, he's been playing very well. He's one of the reasons why the Guardians are where they are right now.
Yeah, as I said before, too, with the injuries to their pitching staff over the last year or so, they've been getting it done with offense as far as this year is concerned. And let's send a shout out to Mr. Daniel Sheeman. He notches his first MLB hit as a Guardian with a 2-run double. Of course, it turned out to be the only 2 runs that the Guardians would score on the day. But congratulations to the young man. I saw clips of it on the TV. His parents, his whole family was in the stands cheering him on. And that was a very great accomplishment. A 2-run double on your first major league hit. Not too many people could say that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You saw his dad. His dad was just going crazy. So that was you always love seeing that, especially when when their son hits their first home run, and drives their first RBIs. Going into saying that division, going to the Kansas City Royals. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Padres, and you thought that maybe now they did get a walk off to save themselves from getting swept, but the Royals are kind of starting to fall back to earth a little bit. They had that high early on. We know about Bobby Jr., but it's really been their pitching. I think they just suffered another walk. He's now on the IL, so that's not going to help the Royals in their cause. So can they keep it? Can they kind of keep up with the Guardians?
Well, as you mentioned, they're gonna suffer another hurdle. It's called injuries. Everybody has to no one's gonna make excuses for you. So, especially with a young team like that, they just gotta learn how to get through it and battle it through. You mentioned with this series, the San Diego Padres, their bats finally woke up and actually woke up again yesterday, but their bullpen blew the game, as you mentioned, as the Royals saved themselves with the walk off of not being swept. But the Padres started to swing the bats. You had Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. Those guys, they can carry your team for hot stretches. I know the Padres are still 2 games above 500, but that's the team that needs to put it all together and go on another nice long streak. Just one good streak will put them closer to the Dodgers. Are they better than the Dodgers? No, even though they beat them in 2 straight series to start the year. But this team needs a one good stretch, and they'll be okay.
Staying in the Central, the Twins win 2 out of 3 again. Sorry, Brandon, if you're our buddy Brandon shows me he's a big Astros fan. If you're watching this, they lose. They win 2 out of 3 against them, and they're trying to kind of stay with the Royals and the Guardians in that division. So the Twins. I mean, I know how you feel about the Twins, Sid, but look, Miranda, hit that go ahead RBI to help clinch that series for them. And it'll be interesting to see if Minnesota, if they can get their pitching going consistently, maybe they can stay there with the Guardians and the Royals and probably contend for one of those wild card spots. But Minnesota's got to be more consistent. They're kind of like a slightly better version of the Cubs, I feel like.
Yeah, also to name players on the Twins, you mentioned about Jose Miranda who had to go ahead RBI yesterday in the 8th inning there. Don't forget about Alex Kirilloff, and of course you have veterans like Carlos Correa and Brian Buxton as well. But like you said, their pitching has to be more consistent. And if it becomes more consistent, their starting pitching in particular becomes more consistent, I think they could actually challenge the Guardians. But I'll wait and see how their starting pitching does.
We'll see if they can keep it up. Now going to the West. Oh, my Mariners swept the Angels. Luis Castillo, who I think should be up there in discussion for. I know it's a little early, but definitely should be up there for the AL Cy Young discussion. He pitched another gem. Hold on, I know it's the Angels, but even still, but yeah, I mean, the Mariners. I mean, excuse me, I think they're kind of getting it going. And of course, Julio Rodriguez, J.P. Crawford. I mean, you got a lot of, and they're kind of, and Bryce Moore. We talked about him. Said now, everyone's stepping up for them. So I like how this Mariners team is playing.
Yeah, the Mariners are 34-27 right now, atop the AL West. I know before the series on Friday, Lakina, they fired Brent Brown. Yes, that Brent Brown for the 98 Cubs. Mm-hmm. He was their quote-unquote offensive coordinator, hitting coach. They fired him because the Mariners struggled over the last couple of weeks with their offense. But you know what happens, Lakina, when you fire a coach? All the players take it personally, and they go out on fire. And guess what happened on Saturday night? They shut out the Angels 9-0. They win another close one yesterday by the score of 5-1. 5-1. But as we talked about before, their starting pitcher, I'm talking about the Mariners, has been up and down all year. You mentioned Luis Castillo. He had pitched a gem yesterday. I know he's 5-6 overall with a 2.99 ERA. Hopefully he can get it going. But Bryce Miller was the story last Saturday night. 6 shutout innings with the 9 strikeouts. Very impressive.
Yeah, the pitching's been a little bit, yeah, it has been up and down, and you don't know because you don't know which one you're going to get. So they want to kind of stay right there in the front of the AL West because you got the defending champion, the Rangers, and Houston when everything's firing for them. So yeah, they're going to make some moves, for that to beef up that pitching staff. They want to stay right there for the long haul. Now, speaking of Texas, they went 2 out of 3 against the Marlins after losing the opener. But it looks like guys are getting healthy. It looks like they're starting to kind of get going a little bit. The Rangers.
Yeah, with the shutout win yesterday, 6-0. Aaron Haney had pitched to Jim yesterday. Now his record is 2-6 on the year. Still working on the ERA is under 4 now, 3.99 for those of you scoring at home. As I said last week, I'll say it here. They got to get healthy, especially in the pitching department. We all know about the names on offense, but they got to get the starting pitching in particular more consistent and healthy at first, and then you got to establish some consistency because the Rangers had the offense there. We saw it last year. Can they do it again once the pitcher hopefully gets back healthy for them?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the $1 million question there. It's the Second City Sports. Sports at Chicago, Ken McGee, Brown with you. Let's go to the NL side of the MLB. The Phillies, they become the first NL team to get to 40 wins. So everyone's okay now over there in Philly who are freaking out after they lost like 4 of their last 5. They win 2 out of 3 against St. Louis. Nolan Gorman hit the go ahead. The game winner because of course they beat the Cardinals 5-4 in 10 innings to take that series. But looks like Bryce Harper's doing his thing. So Suarez is out, so that might be a little bit of a concern if you're the Phillies. But you know what? You got a lot of depth on that roster, so they're definitely showing you why. We'll see if they can take control of that division. We'll talk about the Atlanta in a second, but they're after a little bump in the road, I think they're starting to get it going again.
Yeah, Philadelphia with a 24-9 home record of the Citizens Bank Ballpark, that Cracker Jack box. That's the best record in Major League Baseball for a home team. You talked about Aaron Judge's home run from earlier, still finding the river in San Francisco. How about Bryce Harper's home run last Saturday night? That was a crusher. And too bad he's not on the White Sox, but that's a whole nother issue. But with that being said, Philadelphia has it going on all cylinders right now. We mentioned about the starting pitching led by Zach Wheeler, who goes on the bump tonight against Milwaukee as they open up their series. We talk about Aaron Nola as well. He's been there for a long time. But Philadelphia is a complete team. And Atlanta, like you said, we'll get to them in a second. But Philadelphia is the most complete team in Major League Baseball right now, next to the Yankees.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely in that at the top of that of the majors right now. Speaking of Atlanta, as you said, now Charlie Morton, now he's gonna kind of have to step up a little bit with Strider being out. We've said that. Of course, Acuna is now out too for the year.
Mm-hmm.
They win 2 out of 3, a very competitive series against the A's. So I'm not giving up on Atlanta just yet, but they got to be consistent, and because if not, Philly's gonna run away with the NL East.
Yeah, Atlanta's got to be more creative. Excuse me. Atlanta's got to be more creative in scoring runs because, as you mentioned, Ronald Acuna Jr. brings a lot of speed and power to the Atlanta. Of course, you're going to miss that for the rest of the year. My guy, Ozzie Obeliz, he's going to have to step up. Everybody else in Atlanta has to step up. Orlando Arcia, who he had a big hit yesterday. Don't forget about Austin Riley. He's going to have to step it up as well. Matt Olson, who quietly had 54 home runs last year. He hit another home run in that series over the weekend against his former team. So it's going to have to be a team effort for Atlanta offensively. I still think they have enough pitching there. I know Chris Sale got roughed up in his last start, but that offense is going to have to carry them for a round until they find some consistency in that starting pitcher. I think we all know what Atlanta's going to look for at the trade deadline. A couple of things, but will they get them? I'm not sure. But we all know what they're going to need. Another starting pitcher and perhaps an extra outfielder to fill Ronald Acuna Jr.'s spot for the rest of the year.
Going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to get that. We got a little over a month before we got to worry about that. Milwaukee, of course, going to the Central. They sweep the White Sox. We won both fronts. I mean, look, they've been playing very well, right? They're playing team baseball right now. Jackson Curio had, like I said, the go-ahead 3-run home run yesterday, and it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see if they can keep it up. I mean, I just don't see them. To me, they kind of remind me of Pittsburgh. A lot of like no-name guys that are like they're they're clicking on all cylinders early, but then they kind of fall off a little bit. So this team kind of reminds me of that Pirates team from a couple of years ago.
They lost Brandon Woodruff and they traded Corbin Burns away in the last 2 years. And we all said, where's the starting pitching going to come from? Freddie Peralta had a good enough game for Milwaukee yesterday, so he's the anchor of that starting staff. As I mentioned before, and I'll mention again, they don't scare you offensively, but they're like the National League version of the Tampa Bay Rays of the last couple of years. They'll get those clutch hits. They have a very good bullpen. So once they get a lead on you in the 7th and 8th innings, they're very hard to beat.
St. Louis sort of the same thing. People thought they were going to win this division. They kind of been up and down. So we'll see if they can kind of get things going. Now going out west, of course, the Dodgers win 2 out of 3 as they hosted the Rockies. So it looks like they're starting to kind of get going a little bit. I know Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. I know it's going to get a little bit interesting there as we get closer and closer. I know they got a big series coming up later this week. We'll talk about that on Monday. But Jason Hayward had a RBI in that series to help out, get the Yankees, get the Dodgers to say that win against the Rockies. So should be interesting to see how all this kind of goes. I know Shohei was kind of quiet during this series, but they really didn't need to do too much. So other guys stepped up.
After getting punched in the mouth on last Friday, the Dodgers took the last 2 games of that series. Gavin Stone had a stellar performance yesterday. I think he's been the best pitcher on that Dodgers staff all year. He's 6-2 with a 2.90 ERA. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's also 6-3 right now, the rookie pitcher out of Japan. And don't forget about James Paxton, the ageless veteran who replaced Clayton Kershaw in that starting rotation, 5-0 right now.
Yeah, Yeah, so far so good for the Dodgers. So everyone can kind of relax. All you Dodgers fans that are looking for have Dave Roberts' head on a platter. So y'all
Yeah, I'll
can
get
relax.
over it.
Yeah, like you know how Dodgers fans are. Like they lose 2 out of 3, and everyone starts freaking out. So it's just silly and pathetic. Now, going to this week's series.
Real quick, Lakina, before you do, I know the Diamondbacks and Mets. No one cares about that series, but shout out to the Mets organization last Saturday afternoon. They honored Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah, that was right. I saw. But yeah, Ryan Field was tweeting from ABC 7 New York. He was tweeting about that, and that was really cool to see. And you saw like Doc Good and some of their other teammates from during those 80s. Those 80s Mets teams there. That was really cool to see, and it's nice to see he's doing well. I know he had a heart attack on his birthday, no less, a couple of months ago, but it looks like he is doing better, which is great to see.
Yeah, it was nice to see him and his family, and of course, all the members of the '86 Mets teams and his former teammates out there in center field under him before last Saturday's game. I know we can talk about some of the negative stuff that happened in his life, but he's overcome them, as you mentioned. He's still standing tall, and that's what it's all about. And so, congratulations once again to Mr. Darryl Strawberry for having his number 18 retired in the Mets uniform.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like so, you saw his kids there. Of course, DJ Strawberry was a standout basketball player. I think he played at Maryland for Gary Williams. So he was there, and then the rest of the kids. So everyone, he looks like I said, senior looks great. So hopefully he can kind of keep it going. So yeah, congrats to nice of the Mets to honor him. That was really nice to see. Now we can go into the to this week's matchups. Of course, the Brewers and the Phillies. That should be a fun series starting tonight. Like you said, Bryce Wilson and Zach Wheel. That should be a fun pitching matchup. The Mets, speaking of, they start their series against the Nationals. I talked about Baltimore and Toronto. They start their series up north. Detroit and Texas. St. Louis and Houston. Cincinnati and Colorado. That should be fun. We'll see how Eli De La Cruz does in that in the altitude Coors. San Diego and the Angels, and San Francisco and Arizona. That'll air on FS1 as their Monday night game of the week. That's scheduled for Monday tonight.
Other series that starts tomorrow, Tuesday, of course, the Cubs and the White Sox form the north side. That historic dump. I'm saying it because it's crosstown series time. Other series that starts tomorrow, Kansas City at Cleveland. The LA Dodgers travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. The Tampa Bay Rays will travel to Miami to take on the Miami Marlins in the Battle of Florida there. The Twins will take on the Yankees. That'll be the first game of the Tuesday night action on TBS at 6 o'clock Chicago time. The Braves and the Red Sox will do battle from Fenway. In other series there will start tomorrow. Lakina Seattle Mariners will travel to Oakland to take on the Athletics. And, of course, the Giants and the Diamondbacks, as you mentioned. And the Padres and the Angels will do battle tomorrow from Anaheim. That first game can be seen on ESPN+.
And the Padres Angels series, second game of that series will be on FS1 Wednesday night at 8:38. So a little national love there. And the Twins, Yankees, the first game of that series will air on TBS tomorrow.
And that is your schedule for Major League Baseball for this upcoming week. Series for this upcoming week.
All right, we got a lot to do here after this break. We got a loaded second hour coming up. All the WNBA bad hot takes.
Ow!
Yeah, we finally will give our predictions for the NBA Finals. Stanley Cup Finals now set. A Pro Bowl wide receiver gets fresh paper. Old school TV Monday, and even more stuff than that. So, we got a lot to talk about in the second hour. So, Lakina McGee sitting around Second City Sports. Sports Chicago, we'll be back right to get that started.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X, and going to get in the IG.
We have less than 60 minutes left for this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can always find us at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in the living color 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on Roku TV.
Okay, Sid. If you guys saw the little comment from my buddy, Mr. Vernon Fairley, we'll talk some WNBA, and just to kind of get out the way, all the hot takes and stuff like that. Okay, well, let me set this up. Now, I didn't watch a single minute of this game on Saturday between the Sky and the Fever, and of course, Shady Carter. I guess forearm Caitlin Clark. It was a flop. I saw it on different angles. I saw people who were at the game. They said, look, it was a flop. Some people thought, oh, it was a cheap shot, blah, blah, blah. Apparently they did. It was a common foul, but I guess they put it up to a flagrant 1. They didn't talk. Carter didn't talk after the game. Neither did Angel Reese. Both they and the Sky as a whole were fined. Coach Teresa Witherspoon said the statement that look, she played in the league for about 12 years. So the physicality and all that stuff, I mean, look, she basically defended her players. Of course, that's what she's going to do. I'm keeping an eye on our buddy Chris Bowden from WGN Sports, a friend of the show. I'm keeping an eye because he's at practice right now, the Sky practice. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on him, like what's being said. So I'll repeat it as if we see anything. We'll repeat it if it's anything of importance. But for me, seeing people with all the hot takes and stuff like that, it's just annoying as hell. I'm not talking to you, but all the folks that probably didn't watch a single minute of WNBA basketball, didn't know it exists or blah blah blah. I know some people were saying that all this stuff is good buzz for a league. No, it's going to turn off some people because everyone's going to try to push certain narratives and push certain agendas. It's annoying as hell, and frankly, this is why I didn't want to get into it. It's just beyond it's annoying. Congrats, Aces, if y'all win a 3-peat. Congrats in advance.
Mic drop. As our moniker always says, we have very definite opinions. But here's the thing, Lakina. I saw the last 10 minutes of the game live, and when I saw it, I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, she got pushed a little bit. But once I saw the replay a couple times, I thought too that was a little bit of a flop. And we talked about last week how Caitlin Clark has been driven through the mud, I think in certain instances unfairly throughout the media, because I know she's the savior for the WNBA. I know the main interest in women's sports is because of her, and it's trickling down to the rest of the league, which I think is very cool to see. But the one thing that kind of annoyed me too over the week, I don't know, I'm sure you caught this too, Lakina, that where is her teammates? Where is her protection? Blah, blah, blah. I said, she really doesn't need protected, to be honest with you. She's playing basketball, for crying out loud. And I really didn't get the sense that her teammates, quote unquote, hate her. Now you're gonna have some instances, for like a better term, that you're gonna have your welcome to the pros moment. I get that, but I didn't see it to the point that the Fever needed to start a fight or anything like that. They got their revenge. They won the game by 1 point because I forgot who the player was for the Chicago Sky, who I really like, who missed the free throw, which would have sent the game into overtime because the Sky were on their comeback trail from trailing by double digits. But Caitlin Clark doesn't need any more protection than anybody else, ladies and gentlemen. She's a grown player. She can take care of herself. I'm damn sure about this. Her teammates have her back. They had her back before the incident. They definitely have her back after this incident. So I think too many people are making it a little bit more than what it needs to be. Like I said, the Fever got their revenge. They won the game. That's that. Let's move on.
Well, the whole thing is that, look, no one said a word when Angel Reese got clothesline. Nobody said a darn word then. So a couple of weeks back. So for people to and look, I don't think Clark needs anyone's protection. Look, she's a big girl. She can, look, she knows that she's a rookie. And some people say, oh, it's because people are jealous. And no, they're jealous of her. Like, no, that's not it. Look, Lisa Leslie will tell you. Recca Lobo will tell you. 2 Hall of Famers. Look, Coach Teaspoon will tell you. It's all, look, you had to go through this of, getting, like clothesline, and then, these like, hard fouls and stuff like that. That's WNBA. That's the main difference between that and women's college basketball. It's a little rough and tumble. And look, you're going to have to look. Clark's gonna have to go to the weight room and kind of like add a little bit of muscle, and perhaps maybe she can fight back. And look, she's been doing this stuff for years. Look, when I saw her play at Iowa, she did that to an Illinois player. I don't know if it was this past season, but I know a couple of seasons back she did. So she doesn't do it. I mean, it's kind of silly. And the fact that people say, "Oh, it's jealousy," is this? It's just like, and these are from people that you would think would know better to say these kind of things. But like, no, I just can't. It's beyond my pay grade at this point.
I'm not going to sit here and ignore the jealousy factor. Of course, that's something that's going around. But like you said, there's many people that don't that haven't watched a single minute of WNBA. I watched a little bit more of WNBA that I have in the past this season. Of course, we talk about the Chicago Sky on this show, but they don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if you caught that clip, Lakina, earlier this morning on First Take, or I call it First Fake. And Monica, I don't know if you saw that clip of Monica McNutt had to check Stephen A. Smith issues. I'm just paraphrasing here. I wish we had the clip. Go to our good friends at awfulannouncing.com. They had the full clip there. But she was telling Stephen A. So you could have talked WNBA all along, but you guys don't. They're just like undisputed to a lesser extent. You talk about the NFL sprinkling with the NBA, but I get the Caitlin Clark factor is great for the sport, which is phenomenal. It's going to trickle down to the rest of the league. But for some of these people to have these takes coming out of nowhere, I get you trying to create a buzz. You're trying to create a buzz on social media. I know, like you said, they're trying to create a narrative, but know what you're talking about before you start spilling out these hot takes. That's really what they are at the end of the day for many people that haven't covered the WNBA.
And I would say this to everybody who've been, lobbying for me to start watching WNBA. Look, be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm gonna just be careful what you wish for. I know there was a clip of what Coach McAfee, Pat McAfee said about Caitlin Clark. I won't say it, but you can go back to it's buzzing all around her for like the last half hour. So you can be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now, just leave it at this with our WNBA talk. Even though the Sky did lose the game by 1 point because of a missed free throw, I like the way they're playing. I know they're 3-3 right now. I like the way they're playing. Head coach Teresa Weatherspoon, she is a perfect fit for that team that she has on that roster. And shout out to Carmela Cardoso, who made her debut on Saturday. She does look good. It's still going to take her time to get her conditioning back and whatnot, but she did look good in limited action she had last Saturday. So, of course, the Sky is definitely going to benefit from her being on the floor with her and Angel Reese on the floor at the same time.
And let's not forget that Diana Taurasi scored 41 points last night, and she's 41. So let's give her a little bit of love too. Just say this is Second Seed Sports. Sports of Chicago, Lakeem McGee sitting around with you now. Let's do that hockey, Sid, as the Stanley Cup Final is now set. Of course, the Panthers got the best of the Rangers, beating them in 6. It's their second straight trip to the final. They're 3rd overall. Now you got the Oilers on the other side on the Western Conference. They hold off Dallas. They're going back to the final for the first time since 1990. so it's been a while since the Oilers has been there. So both these teams are going to be the Panthers will be looking for their first ever trip, and then you got the Oilers, trying to not only be the first Canadian team to win since the Canadians did it back in '93, and of course they're trying to win their first since '90. So you got two contrasting styles here, Sid. So we won't do our prediction because they'll play the first game on Saturday. But what do you think of the keys here for this final?
It's going to be, like you said, the change of pace. The Oilers like to get up and down. The Panthers, they like to do the same thing, but their physicality has definitely improved as these playoffs have gone along. But it's going to come down to who's going to control the pace more, and it's going to come down to goaltending. But I think it's going to come down to special teams. Whoever does great on special teams, especially on the power play, is going to win this series. But a couple of other factors to point out here, Lakina, I definitely want to get your thoughts. Is definitely get people's thoughts out there watching on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page and Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. If you're ESPN/ABC, you wanted the New York market in there so bad, i.e. the Rangers, and you're not going to get that. Now, if you're the NHL, at least in Canada, and Commissioner Gary Beavis Bettman, RP to Les Gravas for giving it a name, but you're happy that a Canadian team is in there. But as far as U.S. television ratings, Canada doesn't count. So the Florida Panthers, I think they're more near Miami than Tampa and Orlando combined. So where they play in Sunrise, Florida, I think it's near Miami South Beach. But you don't have two big markets in the United States, or the top three markets in the United States, to sell the sport. Like you said, I think it's going to be an exciting series, but in terms of market size, it's not there. It's from the Florida side of it. Of course, as I mentioned, you have Edmonton from Canada, and that doesn't count as far as TV ratings for the United States. But I don't know what more you could do if you're the NHL to promote this. As like Major League Baseball is suffering again, you got to promote your sport. But if you have teams that you don't traditionally promote, it's going to be a problem. I get it. Hockey is Canadian sport. I get that. But, you can't, when you don't have your top market teams like your New York, Detroit, Chicago, to a lesser extent, LA. I know they're back now, and they've been in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the last couple of years. There's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I think that's really it. If you're ESPN, you were definitely miffed that the Rangers weren't able to force 7. I mean, it's kind of been like one of those things where you're just like, Canada may have to carry the Stanley Cup Final. I think they know it doesn't count, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Canadians all over the country. So this country, I should say, the U.S. So you got to think hopefully that might get those folks to watch. I mean, you do got star power. I mean, of course, you got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl for the Oilers, for the Panthers. I mean, Bobrovsky's been pretty rock solid, but he doesn't really get a lot of attention. Sam Reinhart, and Sam Reinhart, has been really solid for them. But yeah, again, don't really do too much with him either. So yeah, it is going to be a little bit of a struggle for them, for ABC, because, well, look, you got the storylines there. Obviously, this is going to be the furthest. Shout out to Ryan Clark, not that Ryan Clark, but there's another Ryan Clark who works at ESPN. He's one of their hockey writers, who is also a brother, by the way. About a little over 2,500 miles between Miami and Edmonton, so it's there's going to be a lot of traveling going on there between both these teams. And such. So that's going to be a big thing. Also, Paul Maurice, I mean, he's become the second head coach or manager in the 4 major sports, take over the team that went 25 seasons without reaching the final, and then reach the final of each of the first 2 seasons of the club. Of course, he joined Steve Kerr. Of course, he did the first couple of years with the Warriors, so he joins pretty elite company there. So let's have him do some stand-up comedy, I guess, in between periods. I guess maybe that might help. I don't know, but they're gonna have to do something, because you gotta get that buzz going.
Just for historical perspective, Lakina, you said this is the first time for Edmonton since 1990. I know that's when Wayne Gretzky was already traded to the LA Kings at that time. It was a year removed from that. It was I believe it was August of '88. That was right for 88-89 season. But during that series, I know I'm definitely going to look at this after the show. But wasn't that series against Boston at the old Boston Garden? And wasn't it Game 3 or Game 4 that the lights went out at the old Boston Garden?
Yep. I saw a clip of that earlier this year, and I was like, oh, because I had heard about it, so I was like, oh, really? They actually finished the game. So they waited like the 2.5 hour delay, and actually, and then of course, the Oilers ended up finishing up that series. Of course, that was, unfortunately, Gretzky got traded not too long after they clinched it. So Well, no, I think that was that was before that. But
That
yeah,
was,
I mean, that
yeah,
was
he
a
got
really
traded before then. Yep, and
yeah, yeah.
that
So
was the
that was
first
actually
final they reached without him. It was led by Mark Messier and the rest of that
yes.
group.
Yeah, people
Mm-hmm.
forget that the last year that they won, I'm talking about the Oilers, he was a
Mm-hmm.
captain of that team, I'm talking about Messier. So
Yep.
Gretzky was already gone, to LA by then. So yeah, that was actually a pretty cool. Now they keep pushing that history. Maybe that'll help a little bit, I guess. The Panthers really don't have that big of a history, so you really can't really do too much of anything there. So yeah, I think if you're ESPN have to be a little bit creative because yeah, this is kind of gonna be a thing where you might have to just have PK Subban go out there and do something. I don't know what he can do, but I don't know what he can do. But yeah, you got if you're ABC ESPN, you got to kind of find creative ways to kind of get this buzz going for this final because these are two completely different teams. But with Edmonton, they haven't had that history in a long time, and the Panthers, like I said, they don't have a lot of history, so you kind of have to be creative with what you can do.
Yeah, even though it's a Canadian team, you're definitely gonna have to do that in some way somehow. For Edmonton, I think it's going to be an overkill to promote Connor McDavid. He's the best player in the world right now in hockey, and he's finally reached the summer. As we talked about the Edmonton Oilers with this group, they had failed to get to the doorstep over the last 2 or 3 years. They finally reached the summer, so you should promote the what out of Connor McDavid, and I'm all here for it. But find some other cool storylines for the for the Florida Panthers. I know this is their third trip to the Stanley Cup Final overall. Their second. This is their back-to-back. So I don't know how much you want to dig into 1996 when they lost to Colorado. I believe they got swept in that series when those rats start coming down the ice at the old Miami Arena.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know how much. I don't know how much they go into that can of worms. But you had to be creative to promote that franchise there. But I think it should be mostly about Connor McDavid. He's the best player in hockey right now. And like I said, Edmonton has obviously the richer history than the Florida Panthers. So you have to start with that first, and then hopefully it'll trickle down to the rest. But outside of that, I don't know what's the ESPN and the NHL and the ABC could do.
And the 2013 Blackhawks are still the last team to win the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup Final. Still hold that record. So
yes.
What did you think about what did you think about the Oilers not touching the Campbell Trophy?
Oh, the Campbell Conference Trophy. Yes, now the Western Conference Trophy. Teams had adopted that tradition over the last several years, so I don't have a problem with it. I don't think the Blackhawks did it either when they won the Western Conference Trophy. It's all about the big silver trophy in the Stanley Cup anyway, so I don't have a problem with that.
Now, on the flip side, though, the Panthers actually they were all over the Hart Trophy, so. So look, they didn't touch it last year. It didn't help them against the Knights. So maybe it'll be the verse this year.
Yeah, maybe they reverse the trend and to bring good luck. But we'll see. I know many people believe in those traditions and those superstitions, but it's all about getting it done on the ice at the end of the day for 60+ minutes.
So yeah, so we'll do our prediction. Like I said, they'll play it again until Saturday. So we just kind of want to give you a little bit of synopsis here. Let's go to the hardwood, says Second State Sports. Sports got Lakita McGee sitting around with you. Now, I know Sid's a little bit anxious because he wants the NBA Finals between the Mavs and the Celtics to start. It doesn't start till Thursday. So you got 3 more days, Sid, before we officially start that. So, yeah, I know. I mean, it's all for television. It's kind of silly that
when they had this crap back in the day. Remember when the Bulls, one of them, I forgot, was it the first year or the second year? I think it was the first year when they met up with the Lakers. They had alternate dates. I'm talking about the NBA. People didn't know this at the time. They had alternate dates of starting the NBA Finals, and you didn't have to wait a week.
Yep.
Remember, they used to start, they give them a couple of days, for travel and all that stuff, but you didn't have to wait almost a whole damn week.
Yeah. Well,
and now they have to, we must start on this day. No, you don't! Lazy. Never mind.
I mean, I guess the whole thing, for the international purposes, I guess they want to give, plans and whatever. So I guess, Luca being from Slovenia, you got to make sure that the folks there are, can kind of adjust some things, work scheduling and stuff like that. As far as with the time difference, especially. So maybe that's why they've been doing this last few years. I guess that they did the whole whatever it is. It's just that they can't help. Look, the Mavs and the Celtics can't help if they finish their series early. So that's not. But I guess I know Luca's been banged up, so I guess that kind of helps him. And other guys have been banged up as well. So going into this, I mean, to kind of reiterate what we said on Friday, it really is going to depend on how, I guess, the supporting cast. That's going to be the big story here. Now, we know the mass supporting cast. We know that you have guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. and guys like that. Now, the Celtics is really going to be like the big thing. Like I've been saying for like all year long, is the lack of depth that could be a problem. And I talked about on Friday that their guys have to step up. They want to try to kind of get things going here, hoping that the Celtics can get the edge.
I want to focus in on the front court for the Boston Celtics. As we talked about on Friday, Al Horford, he had the game of his, he had the game of his life a couple years ago at Golden State against the Warriors in Game 1 of that NBA Final. Of course, the Celtics blew a 2-1 series. They ended up losing in 6. You wonder how much he has left in the tank. Assuming that the Celtics will win, he'll probably end up retiring. He doesn't have anything left else to prove. Number 2, Kristaps Porzingis. He hasn't played in over a month. Now, I don't know if head coach Joe Mazzulla is going to start him on Thursday. I'm sure he's going to bring him off the bench to ease him into it. At least going to take him at least 2 games. So you mentioned with the scheduling, it's going to take him at least 2 games to get some type of his work is in to get himself in basketball shape to get his feeling back to play the game. On the flip side for the Dallas Mavericks, you mentioned Luka Doncic, who's been almost like this era's Allen Iverson. What body part hasn't he injured yet? With all due respect, so this time is going to be beneficial to him. So I think this time out, anybody with the nagging injuries is beneficial to them. But as far as the game plan is concerned, I want to see who's going to start out guarding Jason Tatum for the Dallas Mavericks. We all know that Jason Kidd is a very good defensive coach, and the Dallas Mavericks have improved defensively over the last couple of years. I think they're better defensively than they were a couple years ago when they lost to the Warriors in the Western Conference Final. Now, you talking about the role players for Dallas: Derek Lively, Derrick Jones Jr., former Chicago Bull, Daniel Gafford, former Chicago Bull, and P.J. Washington. All 4 of those guys that I just mentioned, they have improved their games as this playoff run for them has gone along. On the flip side for Boston, I know Luke Cornett, that backup big guy, has played a little bit because of the injury to Porzingis. Sam Hauser has been MIA. Their backup point guard, Pritchard, has really been an impactful role, in my opinion, coming off the bench, since Joe Mazzulla doesn't use his bench a lot.
Yeah, and I think to me, like you said, I think those guys got to step up for the Celtics. We talked about Derrick Jones Jr. as well, and it's interesting that what he said about what happened. If you guys heard his comments from earlier, I think this was yesterday. I guess say that he wanted to have a chance to try to win. He could have taken that player option for the Bulls, decided not to go with to Dallas. Of course, now they're in the final. He's one of the big reasons why, and it's going to be interesting to see like how kind of like the factor is if you're Luka and if you're Boston. You're kind of wondering, like, okay, I'm sure Jaylen Brown, they're going to be, he and Luka are going to be competing against each other too. So, because they're both more forwards and kind of like the guard play. So, do you kind of just let him get his shots and perhaps maybe try to keep the other guys from scoring? I'm sure Dallas is going to want to do the same thing. Do you kind of like handcuff Tatum and Brown and see if the other guys, guys like Drew Holiday and Horford's going to have to find the fountain of youth again? So, that's what's gonna be interesting too. Of course, if Horford wins, I think he'll probably retire. I'm sure he's had a Hall of Fame career. Remember all the great stuff he did at Florida with Noah and Green and Brewer and that group. He's the only one, actually the only guy from that group that's still playing in the league. So it'll be interesting to see if that will definitely be the motivator for him. So that's gonna be the thing here, and like the coaching edge and stuff. So the travel and whatnot. It's not Dallas isn't really that super far from. It's like halfway across the country from Boston, but the traveling, so especially if guys don't get like banged up, and like I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of rust, folks. They have a lot of these teams have not played. It's also gonna be over a week, and with the Mavs gonna be just about a might be a lot of rust coming in those first few minutes of game 1.
Also, too, we touched on this last week, Lakina. I'm sure they're talking about it right now, still on both of the Boston sports radio stations. Kyrie's time with the Celtics. Once that ball tips off on Thursday, I don't want to hear about it anymore. I know they're going to mention it on the broadcast, I'm sure, at the top, but I don't want to hear it anymore. That was old news. No one cares. He's a changed man, at least perceptually in the public. So that was a long time ago. So he's moved on. So and people should do as well. That storyline is old and stale, but I digress. But getting back to the game, I want to see how how Boston defends Luka because he makes everything go for the Dallas Mavericks team. Are you gonna have Jason Tatum on him to start? Will you have Drew Holiday to guard Tatum? To guard Luka Doncic to start the game. What kind of defensive sets you gonna have to make Luka get away from his spot and disrupt his rhythm? I'm interested to see those factors there.
Well, and Kyrie, I think, he hasn't said anything silly. He's stayed out of trouble. He hasn't, he's kind of seems more mature now. So I guess that's all you can ask for. So yeah, I think, look, I know people are probably going to want to make a big deal about those things, especially since going out to Boston. But whatever, it is what it is. It's been years, so who cares? Nobody really cares anymore. I'm sure the Boston fans don't really care either. I'm sure there's going to be a few that are going to be booing, but whatever. But yeah, I think the edge is really good. Like I said, it's really going to kind of be like these two teams are so different that it's going to be interesting to see like which can the Celtics force Luka and Kyrie to kind of take bad shots? Can Dallas try to handcuff Brown and Tatum, and so that like I said, like Drew Holiday and Horford, those guys got to step up. So which bench is going to have to step up? So yeah, it's going to be so many things. And I think if you're ABC, you got to be feeling pretty good that you got a really good matchup here. I expect good ratings for this NBA Finals.
And also, too, a couple other factors before we close out for the bottom of the hour break. It's going to be promoting who's going to be the new face of the league, which is, will it be Luka? Will it be Jason Tatum? And number two, another key factor in the series will be rebounding, in particular with the Dallas Mavericks. You want to limit Boston to one shot because if you don't, it's going to be a long day.
One thing about Boston, they won't make you pay in those rebounding department. They did at those two meetings this year. So we'll see if they can do it now. Okay, Sid, it's time for predictions. Who do you have winning?
I have Boston in 7, and Jason Tatum will be my MVP.
Oh boy, I actually agree with you, Sid. I think Boston in 7, and I actually have Tatum as my most valuable player.
Oh, that's no fair.
I know, but look, I mean, I think if they do, when I'm talking about Boston, I think it is going to go 7. I think people say, "Oh, Celtics are going to sweep the Mavs." No, you guys have not seen the Mavs all year long, so you guys are just being silly there. And also, like I said, I think it's really going to depend on like who's going to be that big factor for us should they win it. So, like I said, going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Now, the first game of that final will be at 7:30. All games will be at 7:30 on ABC, just for the record. So, one will be Thursday. Starting Thursday. So, yeah, game 1 should be fun.
Yeah.
All right, got to take a quick break. After this break, all-pro wide receiver gets his nice chunk of change and resets the market. The new CHSN Child Sports Network, whatever they're going to call it, got some details on that.
For now.
Of course, Old School TV Monday and so much more. Like Keenan McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. We got more fun coming up after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, no thanks, not my thing.
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live and live in color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. This is our last break of the show for today. So if you have any last minute questions or comments for us, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comment section. We'll get them up on the screen for you.
All right, Sid. A little NFL news here. Even in June, some big news come across the pike in the NFL. This news came out early this morning, and of course, it was confirmed by Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, and Adam Schefter. All-Pro wide receiver Justin Jefferson has agreed to a new deal with the Vikings. Worth, listen to this, folks. It's 4 years, $140 million, $35 million per year, and $110 million, just under $110 million guaranteed. $110 million guaranteed. So he'll definitely be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And there was some rumblings that maybe this might go into training camp, perhaps, maybe go into the season. It may not. So it looks like I guess he and of course rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy, who they just drafted. They kind of had a nice little rapport there. He said that was one of the reasons why he decided to stay. So, and he's also reset the market for guys like CeeDee Lamb, of course, Jamar Chase. He's wanting a new contract. I don't know if right now he's going to get like $100-something million, but it definitely sets to reset the market for that. Joining guys like Devontae Smith, who also got big deals during the offseason.
And bring it back to here in Chicago, Lakina, don't forget about DJ Moore, who GM Ryan Poles traded for over a year plus ago. So now he's going into, I believe, his third year in the Bears uniform. So look out for DJ Moore trying to ask for fresh cash. Now you have Caleb Williams as your rookie quarterback. So Ryan Poles doesn't have to worry about paying the quarterback, for the next three to 4 seasons. So watch out for DJ Moore, especially if he has a great year and the Bears is never anywhere near the playoffs. And DJ Moore has a great year. He's going to be asking for his fresh cash sooner rather than later. Just keep your eye on that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Jefferson for a second, of course, almost like 13,000 receiving yards already in his young career, and just a very deserving of this new contract. And that's the one thing that now the Vikings have to worry about that. So, like I said, he joins guys like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, he just got some fresh paper with the Texans, and Michael Pittman Jr., of course. So that's a pretty good list of wide receivers kind of resetting the market. So we'll see how kind of all this goes. Like I said, we have DJ Moore coming up, and of course Jamar Chase looking for a new contract, CeeDee Lamb as well. So gonna get very interesting as in the markets, especially.
Yeah, you talk about that Dallas Cowboys situation with CeeDee Lamb. I always felt this way. I usually use the word feel, but I was always under the opinion that, and I still am, that he's going to get his money. But this, with the Jefferson contract, I think it could, no matter what happens, barring injury, I think this could be the end of Dak Prescott after this upcoming season as their starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, he's on the last year of that guarantee money, so they don't have to worry about that, especially if he doesn't produce. So
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a lot of things here to be decided. Now, speaking of the Cowboys, they had some tough news by a little over an hour ago. Hall of Famer Larry Allen passed away suddenly while vacationing with his family in Mexico. Of course, he was a 10-time Pro Bowler. Of course, won 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. And if you heard Troy, I know Troy Aikman posted something really cool on his social media that he said on his speech that he was the first guy to start lobbying for Allen to get into the Hall of Fame. Of course, he did get it a few years later. So just some tough news for the Cowboys. Of course, he's in the Ring of Honor, and yeah, just some tough news for the Cowboys franchise.
Yeah, condolences go out to his family and the Cowboys organization from us here in Second City Sports and Sports Zone Chicago. You mentioned Lakina; he was one of the best tackles in his era, and I want people to check out. I forgot what the it was. I know it was an NFL Football Life, but I think it was the Four Walls of Dallas. I believe that was what it's called. They talked about him and the rest of that offensive line, how the Cowboys got back to glory in the '90s. So for those of you that missed it, if you have NFL Plus, I believe it's on there. I believe he's still on YouTube as well. So check it out if you haven't seen it. So it features Larry Allen, Mark Stemnowski, 2-8, some of those young offensive linemen that helped the Cowboys get back to glory in the '90s. So if you haven't seen that program, check it out if you have NFL Plus, or I believe it's still on YouTube. So search it on YouTube. If it's still on there, please look at it, check it out.
Yeah, there was a clip of him bench pressing like 225 pounds, like 40 some times. I think this was at I think it was one of those old competitions from back in the day. So that just shows you how much strength he had, even though he was a pretty big guy himself. So yeah, just a tough news to hear. And he was actually a really good guy too, for what all we've heard. So yeah, I know, thinking about his family and the Cowboys family as well.
Echo those same sentiments.
Now, on the flip side, though, some good health news. Hall of Famer basketball center Alonzo Mourning announced that he had fought prostate cancer. They found a polyp, but the good news is that he did get another scan, and he is cancer-free now. He wants to be a spokesman for prostate cancer, especially among Black and brown men. So that was good. Tough news to hear that he went through it, but it's a good thing that he is on the other side of it, and he wants to kind of course, we know some of the various health issues that he suffered over the years. So, I know he's going to be a great advocate for that. So, guys, get your prostate checked, folks.
Yes, and I echo those same sentiments as well. And Alonzo Mourning, you mentioned he had, I forgot what condition he had, which interrupted his career for a couple of years, but he finished his career with a championship with Miami back in '06, and then he played another year and then he retired. But yeah, Alonzo Mourning, he always does great stuff in the community, especially with that Miami Heat organization. Remember, I think he still does it now with his Zoe's Summer Grooves, reaching out to the community, bringing in various entertainers and other high-profile stars to help promote community work within the Miami Heat organization. So he's definitely going to add this cause to his list of priorities to help spread the word. So he's been doing that for a long time, going back to his playing days. He's still doing that now. So the word's going to spread because he has a big enough name. You mentioned he's a basketball Hall of Famer, both college and pro. So yeah, he's definitely going to get the word out for sure.
Absolutely. So like I said, those prostate checks, you guys, out there. Okay. Before I because we didn't get to this last week, but Coleman Hawkins, of course, a former Illinois star, decided not to stay in an NBA draft. He has pulled out, so now he has one more year of eligibility left. He's not going to have a plethora of colleges are going to be waiting for wanting his services. So a lot of people are going to say that you're going to have his NIL money is going to be very high. So I've heard Missouri, maybe Michigan, maybe Arizona. You remember Caleb Love went back as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas, maybe. Like I said, 100 acres. So they got some guys back there as well. So, where do you think Mr. Hawkins lands?
Unfortunately, not Illinois. I wish he would go back to Illinois, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. But if he does go back to Illinois, they'll sure help him. I know they're going to have a whole new team next year because folks like Terrence Shannon Jr. and some of the others have graduated and moved on. So, like I said, Coleman Hawkins does return to the fighting line, and they'll definitely help. But like you said, with those other top schools that are better than Illinois, like you said, Hawkins has he has the world at his feet right now, lack of a better term, because like you said, NIL. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with a Big 12 school like Kansas.
I guess he's not done with the. Guess he wasn't done with college schools after all. Of course, remember he had that little thing during the NBA draft combine. Oh, I'm done with college hoops. Well, I guess not. So, guess he didn't like what he heard over there. So now he's gonna be looking for.
Yeah, he was smart for not hiring an agent.
Yeah, even smarter than that. So actually, was pretty smart there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated. I'm sure we're gonna learn. I'm sure we're gonna find out where he's going in a few weeks now. Big record breaker here. Simone Biles wins her record-setting 9th U.S. all-around title on the women's side in gymnastics. I mean, you saw her husband, of course, knew Bears corner Jonathan Owens was there supporting her, had a front row seat. Just amazing that she's still doing this at 25, which in gymnastics that's old age.
Right.
That's not me saying it, but that's just how it is. So I think the fact that she is focused and well, I won't say what wait on her a few years back. Google's your friend, folks. But I think now that's out now, and now that she's married and now she's focused, I think she's gonna be even more dangerous in a couple of months when the Olympics roll around.
Yeah, she's the greatest female gymnast I ever seen, and of course followed by Dominique Dawes. Shout out to her as well. I remember her from back during our teenage years back in the 90s. I know we telling our age, but get over it. But yeah, he says Simone Biles has the accomplishments. She has the charisma. She has the it factor. She has the presence. She has the overall package, and nothing can really stop her but herself. So I don't know. She said this will be her last Olympics. I kind of get that feel that it is because, like you said, because of her age. But it's all about what Tom Brady did at the end of his career. Like what LeBron James is trying to do right now is collect extra trophies to build along that resume to go inside that trophy case.
Of course, with the U.S. Olympic trials coming up in a few weeks later this month, so you gotta assume that she's going to be in. Obviously, who's going to join her? That's going to be the big question here. Now on the men's side, of course, Brody Malone wins his second U.S. Men's all around on the men's side. I think this is the second in the last 3 years. Of course, Frederick Richard. Of course, he wants to be Frederick now. Well, like, hey, you win a bronze medal for the first time for the U.S. in like 30 years. Yeah, you can probably can make your own case. And also, Koy Young won the silver. I really think the men have a shot to perhaps maybe win some medals in Paris. They've been working on this for the last decade. They've been really close a couple of times, but I think they've got the team. If they pick the right team, I think they have the team to try to perhaps maybe get some medals, perhaps even win a team medal because they were very close to winning it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, you haven't heard too much from the U.S. men's team these last 2 to 3 Olympics. You say they came close the last time, but hopefully, who's the face of it? You want to get people like yours truly to watch, and hopefully they'll come through.
Yeah, let's hope. Like I said, the trials are coming up later this month, so I think they'll have a nice little plethora of guys to choose from. Hopefully, I'll assume that Malone and Richard and Young are going to be among those that are going to be selected. So don't worry about that for until next month. But just a really great show there, of course. Oh, Robert McIntyre winning the SBC Canadian Open just outside Toronto.
I just saw that clip on my television. His father was a caddy.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, he won some tournaments in the European side, of course. He's done okay, but I think this is his first PGA title in this side of the pond. But yeah, that was a great moment between him and his dad. That was a very sweet moment. And even the rain, it actually started raining over there and up there in Canada. But that was a really sweet moment between the two of them. So that's very sweet. Kind of an early Father's Day gift for
poetry in motion. Cool. Everything, the stars are aligned.
Yes, very sweet moment there. So. All right. So anything else? I think anything. Oh well. Shout out to Real Madrid. This is their 8th Champions League title. Oh, 15th, I should say, Champions League title. They're second in 3 years. They'll probably end up winning more. So I just want to give a shout out to them. Yes, for
No,
the
you
UEFA
the
Champions League
official
final.
soccer queen aficionado on this show.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I don't know
You
about
and
that.
Evan
But yeah.
Moore and good friend Jason Kessner.
Oh,
From the
yeah,
old
yeah, I know
CSR
Jason
days.
loved his soccer. Loved
Yes.
his soccer. Hope he's doing okay wherever he's at. But yeah, so we'll give it a shout out as well for their 15th Champions League title. And probably on their way to win more.
Yep. All right, these last two topics, let's get to them before we close up shop.
All right, first off, the CSN Chicago, maybe, I guess, well, the Chicago Sports Network, that's what they're calling it. They may
For
change
now.
the name, who knows. Tentatively named the Chicago Sports Network will be the home of course, the Bulls, the White Sox, and the Blackhawks. Some little things are kind of like they're going to be coming down the pike. For this new network, I guess they're going to be working on some things that kind of. This is according to Jeff Agris of course, the Sun Times, their media reporter Jason Cole, who has been doing it's been like the top at sports media in Chicago for many years. He's going to be the president. They're in charge. They have not decided whether or not they'll say whatever about the talent and stuff like that, carriage stuff, all that will be decided at a later date. But they are going to launch in October sometime. It's going to be all in the Midwest, so it's basically going to be like the old CSN Chicago, I guess is what they're calling it. That's basically what this is.
Yeah, I think the problem is I read the article by John Greenberg in The Athletic. For those of you that have not subscribed to The Athletic, please do so. They have some in-depth articles. But I read in his column earlier today that some of the issues that could be facing is, of course, that Xfinity/Comcast is a major cable provider for the Chicagoland area. Of course, I have Xfinity, so if they got away with not raising the price of that channel because their NBC Sports Chicago is carried by Xfinity, so they had to raise any prices, anything. So I am anticipating them, unfortunately, raising. I don't know how much the channel is going to cost when they put it on Xfinity. Remember the trouble that Marquee had again on Xfinity. Remember they didn't debut until the day of the 2020 shortened pandemic season. They were on parts of the Chicago area, but not on the major carrier Xfinity until the day of the first day of the 2020 MLB COVID season. And so you definitely do not want to face that issue if this new network. And also, too, we talked about this before. We'll talk about it again about the Marquee Sports Network brought over new talent over, of course, Cole Wright, who worked at ESPN and Fox Sports, Chicago guy. He does pre and post for the Cubs. Of course, Elise Maneker, she's from Chicago. She does great work also for the Big Ten Network. Of course, you have some of the other talent over at Marquee as well, and they've done very well for themselves. But, with this new CSN, we'll call it for now, they going to have, outside of the cable providers, will they have as an option? We know they're going to have streaming as an option, but will they have a direct-to-consumer option available? That's going to be key. And I thought John Greenberg brought up a great point in that article in The Athletic earlier today.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what you still got Comcast, you got UVerse customers, and of course the satellite providers, and of course so people like me who have YouTube TV. So it's bad. I can't watch Cubs games on Marquee because they don't have Marquee on there. So it'll be interesting to see if they're gonna have to kind of rhinestone if this is his brainchild. So they're one of his brainchild. So they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna be able to maneuver this. Will it be like a direct consumer option as well for people to use as a separate channel? So that's another thing they're gonna have to figure all that out. Who's gonna be there? Who's not gonna be there? Because you have to. Yes, the teams are probably gonna have a say. Like, do they try to keep it status quo? Or do they try to change things up? That's gonna be the number one question. Another question is going to be answered as well. I'm with our buddy Matt Peck from our buddy as CHGO Bulls, who of course he and Big Dave and the coach John Sabine, they were there for a couple of years. The Bulls Outsiders on NBC Sports Chicago. We just bring a lot of those people there. So we'll have to wait and see if they bring most. They're probably not going to bring all. They're not going to be able to bring everybody there, but you got to think they're going to try to bring at least most of those folks there. I'm sure they're going to have Bears content as well. They got to, because both the Sox are looking at things. So you need somebody to kind of get it going, especially until the Bulls season starts. So. and the Blackhawks as well. So you're gonna have to kind of get that going too. So yeah, they're got a lot to decide. And I guess like we talked about before they came before you came on, they may do some national stuff in there as well. So still a lot to kind of sort out until October.
Even though we know that Marquee Sports Network is part of the Diamond Sports Group, they're not affiliated with the other Bally Sports regional channels throughout the country. So, and those regional channels throughout the country are off some of the cable providers throughout the country. You see, baseball is going through it right now. But as far as Chicago is concerned, Ryan Stover is behind this, and so it looks like I know it's a couple of programs from the stadium that's airing on Marquee. I know it's called Live on the Line with our good friend Cameron Smith, friend of the show. He hosts that daily betting show. And our girl, Alyssa Bergamini, she's part of that as well. And they have the Inside the Association, which is an NBA show hosted by Cameron Smith that's airing on Marquee Sports Network. But it looks like from the article that I read at The Athletic, they may add the Rally and a couple other shows they do over there to their daily lineup as well. But it looks like not too much will be changing in terms of programming. Of course, they're going to air their infomercials like NBC Sports Chicago does now. Remember, Sports Channel did that too back in the day, but I digress. But how much off-season content you going to provide with this new network? How many as the kids today will call it, classic throwback games are you going to air with the three teams, the Bulls, Blackhawks, and White Sox? You got plenty of them to air. You might not have to air them as much as Marquee does because they only have the Cubs and some other small live events. But are you going to do that? And we are going to air some of those throwback games. And are you going to air some of the original content? Like all these professional teams have their own YouTube channel, so you see behind the scenes stuff. I know that the Blackhawks have one shift, SHIFT, at a time that's airing on their YouTube channel. Will you air some of those episodes from YouTube onto this new sports channel along with the Bulls and the White Sox? I think they'll help fill some time on their air as well.
And also, we're just see if they do show some of those college football, college hoops games. Kind of out. I'm sure it's kind of within that region. Of course, like I said, they're only going to do like 5 states. So you got to wonder, like, okay, are we going to be seeing some Missouri Valley Conference games?
Good point. Yeah.
See some the other, maybe some, I don't know, like just sitting at the top of my head, maybe it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, how all this kind of like shakes out, because this is going to be really key here. Look, they're taking a big risk by keep it. I know Comcast have been kind of, NBC Sports, I should say, the regional sports are kind of wanting to get out of that. I mean, you saw what happened with some of the other the regional NBC Sports regional networks. So we're going to see what happens with that. But yeah, it's going to get interesting in these next few months, especially with the NBA on NBC. I know it's not official yet, but with them starting next fall for the 2025-2026 season, I wouldn't be surprised. This is just me speculating. I'm just talking through my head. This is just me. Don't be surprised that I know you have NBC Sports Bay Area / California. You have NBC Sports Philadelphia and NBC Sports Boston. I believe that's it as far as the regional channels. I believe that's it. But don't be surprised if those three networks go bye-bye by the time the NBA on NBC starts next fall. A lot to be decided here. So as I always, because they're gonna put all their money into the NBA and of course the Olympics, which they have every 4 years. Of course, they already have money coming in for the NFL. Yeah, so we just see how much. Well, like I said, who's gonna get this? Who's gonna get the distribution? All that. That's still gonna be a lot to be decided. Like I said, in these next, 5 months. So, 4 months, I should say. That's not a lot of time. So, they're going to have to try to figure it out, like how they're going to do this. So we'll see. As I always say in this type of, it says to be continued. Yes, the hourglass. If you watch here. Oh gosh! Don't drop that on your keyboard, Sid. Oh no! This cap is close to the T. All right, let's take a seat. Sports on Sports. So Chicago, Kane McGee, sitting around with you. All right, Sid, is it time for Old School TV Monday? What are we honoring this week? All right, we're going to the cable channel Nickelodeon. Remember Doug, which we saluted a couple of weeks ago? Doug, Ren and Stimpy, Keenan and Kel,
all
Yes.
that, which we'll do at a later date. Another show was part of the original Snick lineup in 1992, and they did a special skit for the NBA Stay in School celebration in 1993. Yes, I am talking about Roundhouse.
Woohoo!
That's right. Roundhouse was an American comedy variety television series that aired on Nickelodeon from 1992 through 1994. The series was recorded before a live audience on a minimal set and incorporated a sketch comedy, dance sequences, and musical performances. Roundhouse debuted as a part of the original Snick lineup on Nickelodeon in 1992 and continued airing on the network through the end of 1995. Each episode revolved around the Innie family and their problems in daily life. The half-hour show, taped in front of a visible live audience, was broken up into sketches, dance sequences, and musical performances by both the cast members and the house band. After everything is resolved story-wise, a cast member or everyone in the final episode would always yell the words, reprise the theme song, and roll the credits. The cast then sang the opening theme a cappella style and closed the show with a dance number. Real quickly, Keenan, this show was a combination of In Living Color, Saturday Night Live, and the Arsenio Hall show, but it was all done for teenagers and kids.
Yeah, it was definitely. You kind of say that walks those shows like you mentioned, Kenan and Kel and all that can run, and this was sort of like an older version of those shows at the time. Of course, they, like I said, they really couldn't do too they couldn't go into it too much. I mean, they did do kind of like news of the day and stuff like that, but they did it in a funny way. They did kind of like it sort of like a you did learn something, but they didn't want to. It wasn't preachy. It wasn't. It did kind of like force you into kind of like all of it. So they kind of did it in a way where teenagers can understand it. Like I said, I was a little bit young for this show at the time, but I've watched over the years. Of course, when it repeated, of course, before it ended in '96, and it was definitely kind of like one of those shows where it was well ahead of its time.
It was, and also too, you mentioned they touched on various subjects. I did watch this episode earlier this morning. Most episodes are available on YouTube, by the way. There was an episode in season 2 called "Gang Violence," and it did end on a serious note, but they addressed it, like you say, in the way that you could understand it. Everybody could understand it: kids, grown folks, grandparents, older folks, everything. So it was simpler. It was much more simple. Like you say, it wasn't too preachy, but they got their message across. And two, they took a slight jab at pop culture and celebrities without being mean about it.
Right. It was actually, it actually was funny. They didn't
right.
Yeah, they didn't insult, flat out insult various people at the time, but it was sort of okay, it was actually pretty funny. So, like I said, I think it feels like it kind of sort of, it never got its due. I feel like just because of the fact that it was the first two, because usually that's the case when some of these kinds of shows that kind of broke the mold and broke the realm. They usually don't get very respected. They get made fun of more or less. So, they had dance numbers and stuff like that. So, like I said, it was definitely kind of one of those things where I didn't feel it really didn't get as much due as it should have.
I agree. Now, it won a couple of awards in 1993 and 1994. In 1993, it won the Young Artist Awards for Outstanding Young Ensemble Cast in a Youth Series or Variety Show. In 1993, it also won a Cable Ace Award for original song "I Can Dream." And of course, in 1994, it collected one award. It was the Ollie Award for Excellence in Television Programming for America's Children, American Center for Children's Television.
Yeah, and we're very deserving of those awards. I kind of wish they did a reunion for just in time for the 30th anniversary a couple of years ago, just to see with a lot of those folks. I know some of those folks are still acting, voice acting, but I think some of them have retired. So yeah, it would have been nice if they had done a little bit of a reunion with the folks from the show. Maybe they will next year, since 95 was the last year of the show. So maybe they'll do something then. But it'll be nice to see what those guys are up to.
Hopefully, and it was produced by MTV Networks. The first couple of years, it was filmed in Orlando. Then the last couple of seasons was filmed in Los Angeles.
Yep, they moved to Los Angeles after that. So, MTV. Yeah, I mean, Well, Nickelodeon and MTV, I think, were sisters. Still, even before Viacom took ownership and Paramount Plus, now they own it. But yeah, they were sister networks. So yeah, it did make sense that they would produce that show. But that afternoon block was really good for Nickelodeon. So this was kind of So they're kind of like the entree. Well, after school, but it was kind of like before, if kind of in between what you were doing before you did your homework and before you ate dinner.
Yeah, and I remember one of the actors on the show, John Crane. You may not know his name, but you will recognize his face. Remember, he always played the father who I called him, and no disrespect to him, but he was the Archie Bunker. He was in that robotic chair. He never got up. He always rolled around messing with the other kids whenever they talked about school and family issues. Or when I was a little kid, I did this. He always started chasing him around in that chair.
He played that role very well.
Remote control Archie Bunker chair.
Yeah, which is crazy because he's just the opposite. He actually is one of the nicest, nicest people. So everyone said he was actually that was just a facade. Thank goodness he wasn't like that. He's not like that. But
right.
Yeah, but it was but like I say, everyone played their parts well. So it was really cool to see. And I think you said that there's a show I haven't thought of in years.
And unfortunately, it went into exile after it went off the air. I don't know why it did. I know there was some behind the scenes drama that I saw when doing a little research, but it went into exile for all these years. And then on the last few years, it started to come back in terms of episodes on, like I said, you catch most of the 4 seasons on YouTube. I started watching them over the weekend. I watched a couple this morning. So it was a very good show. Like you say, it didn't get its due for its time, but it was well ahead of its time as well.
I don't know if it's gonna be streaming because like I say, you're talking about like music and stuff like that, music rights and stuff. So you may not see it streaming anywhere for a while, but it is. Most episodes are on YouTube. Like I said, I think there have been a few episodes that are on there now. Most of it's run. So you guys check it out if you guys want to bring back those memories, or if you have no clue what we're talking about, just check it out. Yes. So like I said, it kind of like
if you have little kids, you can watch it with them.
Yeah,
you can actually watch it with them.
You'll learn something too. I mean, it kind of like it kind of broke the mold for shows like All That and Kenan and Kel for those shows to come along.
And don't forget, we'll salute the show at a later date. But remember, welcome freshmen.
Yes.
It was a table set as you mentioned for those shows. So for this week for Old School TV Monday, we salute the Nickelodeon sketch comedy series Roundhouse. Lakina closes out.
You on that? No, you follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Keena Screaming on the IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more time, as Lakina would say, catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. So whatever device you got, your smart TV, your laptop, smartphone, whatever, wherever on your Play Store, type got the Roku TV app. Just type in Sports Zone Chicago. It's all right there for you. You can catch replays of our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more. Hopefully, we'll get some more great new content coming up as well as get closer and closer to football season.
And we will provide.
All right, and I know you guys, all y'all anticipate for the NBA finals are coming up soon, folks. So I don't feel, I know, be patient. It's all about patience. See, patience is a virtue, guys. So of course, you can catch all the baseball, of course, if the WNBA and all their shenanigans, and also so much more to talk about as well. Of course, Sid, I'm Lakina. Stay safe out there and stay cool out, especially you guys out there out west. That was gonna be like hot, hot as out west. So make sure you guys find some place to cool down. So for Sid, I'm Lakina of Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago, and we'll see you Friday.
For those of you who attended the Cubs Sox series in Wrigley tomorrow and Wednesday, behave yourselves. Don't do anything stupid, and let's go Sox. Till Friday, holla!